Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we really try to cut through the noise and get straight to the insights you need. Now you, our listener, you sent us some really fantastic observations recently, and questions too about navigating restaurants, specifically English-speaking ones. You touched on, well, everything from, the subtle art of actually getting a table to figuring out how to manage the bill without any awkwardness.
All right.
And you highlighted how even these really simple phrases can sometimes feel like, I don't know, a bit of a minefield if it's not your first language.
Absolutely. That mix of excitement for, trying new food, but also that little bit of apprehension about the actual interaction.
Yeah, that feeling. Almost everyone gets that, don't they?
Definitely. It's that universal thing, isn't
Yeah.
it? The joy of sharing a meal is such a basic human connection.
And that's what we're hoping to make just a little bit smoother for you today.
And that's exactly why this deep dive feels so relevant. Because dining out, it's so much more than just the food itself. It's this whole rich tapestry of social interaction, cultural norms, unspoken rules even.
Like a performance almost.
Exactly. It's like a performance with its own, specific script.
Mhm.
And what we'll hopefully uncover today is how mastering just a few key phrases isn't just about learning words.
Right.
It's about gaining real social fluency. It changes you from someone just sort of making a transaction to someone who's confidently part of a cultural ritual.
Yeah, unlocking a much more relaxed experience.
Totally. You're not just ordering food, you're engaging with a whole system.
Absolutely. And well, that's precisely our mission for this deep dive. We're taking your insights, those practical phrases you mentioned, as our starting point. Our goal is to really dig into their full utility in an English-speaking restaurant. We're going to peel back the layers, how these everyday phrases actually work, not just in theory, but in a busy, real place.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Because these aren't just like isolated words you memorize. They're powerful social tools. Think of them like keys, universal keys that unlock different stages of the whole dining experience.
Keys. I like that.
Yeah. And the fascinating part is how these phrases, which seem so simple on the surface, carry quite a lot of cultural weight and real practical power. They make interactions smoother, they convey respect, they help you feel more comfortable.
Okay.
So understanding them isn't just about knowing what to say, but understanding the impact of what you're saying, how it shapes the whole conversation. It's about being an informed, confident diner.
So our aim for you today is pretty straightforward. We want you to finish this deep dive feeling, well, completely at ease, really well-informed, ready to handle any restaurant situation in English with, genuine confidence. From that first moment you walk in and see the host, right through choosing your meal, agreeing on things with your group, and finally settling up the payment. You'll have this nuanced understanding of just a few really impactful phrases that can make all the difference. Think of it as a shortcut to dining confidence.
And that's really the heart of the deep dive philosophy, isn't it? Getting that knowledge quickly, but also thoroughly.
Exactly.
We're going to break down not just what to say, but maybe more importantly, why certain phrases are used in certain situations, what subtle messages they're sending.
Okay.
Our goal is to give you those genuine aha moments, those little insights you can actually use right away, the very next time you're at an English-speaking restaurant. It's about actionable insights, things that really stick.
Right. So to do that, we're diving into 4 key phrases you highlighted in your notes. We'll be exploring a table 4, then ready to order, fine with me, and finally, split the check.
The big 4.
Yeah, and I'm actually really excited to unpack each one, get into the practical details, and maybe share some, surprising facts or cultural bits that give you that extra layer of understanding, turning a simple phrase into something powerful.
And we've structured it logically, too. We're following the natural kind of story arc of a typical meal out.
Okay.
We'll start with securing your spot, that very first interaction, using a table 4. Then we move to the core of it, choosing your meal with ready to order. After that, we'll look at how you navigate group decisions and show agreement using fine with me. And then we wrap it all up gracefully by managing the bill with split the check.
Makes sense.
So the journey isn't just about learning phrases in isolation. It's about seeing how they link together, how they create this complete, confident, smooth dining story from start to finish. Let's start peeling back those layers. Main section 1, setting the scene, securing your spot.
Okay, let's unpack this first crucial phrase, a table 4. Now, on the surface, it sounds incredibly simple, just stating a number, right? But when you actually walk into a busy restaurant, maybe it's your first time there, how do you really use it effectively? Is it just telling them how many people, or does it imply something more? Like, are you saying you're ready now, or do you understand there might be a wait?
That's a really good question because it's precisely that deeper implication that makes it interesting. A table for number.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the foundation of that first interaction.
Right.
It's incredibly concise, and it's pretty much universally understood. And in places where efficiency is, really important, like a lot of busy English-speaking restaurants.
Yeah, they want to keep things moving.
Exactly. This phrase tells them your party size and your immediate intention, we're here to eat,
Mm-hmm.
with remarkable clarity. It's not just a question. It's a statement that actually kickstarts the whole seating process.
Ah, okay.
When you say a table for two, you're basically saying, I'm here to dine and I need space for two. And that lets the staff immediately start thinking, check availability, estimate weights, begin that whole host-guest interaction. It sets a clear, polite, kind of professional tone right from the get-go, which is really valued.
That makes total sense. It's like a little packet of essential information. Okay, let's play this out. Imagine a scenario. You're with a friend. You walk into a cafe. It looks pretty busy. No reservation. Just decided spur of the moment to grab a bite. You see the host or hostess near the entrance. Maybe they're juggling menus, seating someone else. How do you actually start that conversation? What's the best approach?
Okay, good scenario.
Yeah.
Ideally, you'd wait for a natural little break in what they're doing. You don't want to interrupt them mid-sentence with someone else.
Right, polite.
Make eye contact, approach them calmly, and offer a polite greeting. Then the simple elegance of, hi, a table for two, please. That's your go-to phrase.
And the please is important there.
Oh, absolutely essential. It's not just tacked on. It instantly turns it from feeling like a demand into a polite request. And honestly, that can really influence how receptive the host is, especially if they're stressed and busy. It shows you respect their role and, the general flow of the restaurant.
Right. So you've made the request. Hi, a table for two, please. What kind of responses can you expect then? Does it vary a lot depending on how busy they are?
Oh, definitely. The responses can vary quite a bit, but they usually fall into a few main categories. If a table's ready right away, you'll likely hear something like, right this way, or follow me, please. Simple.
Gotcha.
If there's going to be a delay, they might say, it'll be about a 15-minute wait. Maybe we can seat you in about 20 minutes, something like that.
Okay.
Or if it's a place that relies heavily on bookings, they might ask, do you have a reservation?
Right. Standard question.
Exactly. And one little detail, but it's important, especially in a noisy place, make sure you pronounce the number clearly. You don't want 2 sounding like 4 or 10. Avoids confusion.
Good point.
Now, you also asked in your notes about specific requests, like what if you want a window seat or a booth?
Yeah, how do you add that in?
You can definitely add it politely after the main phrase. So, a table for two, please, by the window if possible. Or, we'd prefer a booth if one is available. It doesn't change the core request, but it layers on a polite preference.
Okay. If possible. That keeps it polite.
Exactly. It shows you understand it might not be available.
Brilliant. Okay, now let's switch gears slightly. What if you're planning ahead? Maybe a special occasion, you want to book a table over the phone. How does a table for fit into that kind of conversation?
Right, the phone reservation. Well, the core phrase, a table for number, it's still absolutely fundamental, but it gets embedded in a slightly more detailed, maybe slightly more formal request.
Okay.
You typically start by saying who you are and what you want. So something like, hello, I'd like to reserve a table for 4. Then you add the crucial details for Saturday evening at 7 p.m. And often they'll ask for a name, so maybe add under the name Smith.
So date and time up front are key.
Absolutely crucial. It lets the restaurant staff check their booking system efficiently, saves that back and forth questioning.
Makes sense.
And what's interesting here again is how that same core phrase adapts. Face-to-face versus phone, the context changes slightly, but a table for 4 still does the main job, communicating party size and intent. It's the backbone.
Yeah, that adaptability is neat.
And it's often a good idea during a phone booking to mention any special needs then too, like dietary restrictions or needing a high chair. Gives them more time to prepare.
Good tip. Now, does the phrase itself change if you have a really big group, say 8 or 10 people? And what about the waiting part? If they tell you there's a wait, even for a smaller group, how do you respond gracefully?
The beauty of a table for is its consistency. The structure stays the same no matter the group size. A table for 8, please. A table for 10, please. Simple as that.
Okay.
Now, if you are told there's a wait, which, let's face it, is pretty common in popular places, the host will usually give you an estimate. It's about a 30-minute wait, or we expect something in roughly 45 minutes.
Right.
And this is where one of our later phrases, fine with me, comes in really handy. You could respond, okay, a 30-minute wait is fine with me, thank you.
Yeah.
Or maybe, that sounds perfectly fine, we'll wait at the bar.
So you confirm you're okay with it.
Exactly. It confirms you accept the wait time, but it also shows patience and flexibility, which restaurant staff always appreciate. It turns a potential negative into a smooth agreement.
Nice.
Really shows how these simple phrases weave together, doesn't it? You start with a table for, maybe encounter a wait, confirm with fine with me.
It navigates the whole beginning part. Yeah, it really does. So a table for really sets the stage. Polite, clear, gets you in the door. Okay, so once you're successfully seated, menus arrive. The next big step is figuring out what you want and telling someone. Main section 2. Making your choices the ordering process. Which brings us perfectly to our second key phrase. Ready to order. Now, this is where I think it gets really interesting because it seems like such a straightforward question, right? Are you ready to order? But there's a lot packed into that from the server side, isn't there? What are they actually looking for when they ask that?
That's a fantastic point. It's definitely much more than just a simple yes-no. You have to think about it from the server's perspective. They're essentially orchestrating this complex dance in the dining room.
Right, juggling lots of tables.
Exactly. Managing multiple tables, coordinating with the kitchen, trying to keep everything flowing smoothly for all their guests. So, are you ready to order? Is there polite, efficient way to check on your progress without actually rushing you?
Okay, so it's a check-in.
It's a check-in, yeah. They need to keep the dining room moving, get orders to the kitchen promptly to avoid, backlogs, and just maintain that overall service rhythm. If you connect it to the bigger picture of how restaurants work, it's all about efficient service flow, optimizing what the kitchen can handle, and ultimately making sure customers are happy by getting food when they're ready, but also within a reasonable time. So the real balancing act, and that phrase is a key tool.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's play out the ideal scenario. You've looked at the menu, maybe talked it over, everyone's decided. Yum. The server comes over, pen and pad poised, asks the question, what's the best way to respond? Confident and clear.
Right. Server approaches. Are you ready to order? Your response should ideally be clear, concise, and confident. A simple, yes, we are, thank you, works perfectly as an opener. Shows you're ready.
Okay.
Then you just proceed to give your orders clearly. For example, yes, we are. I'll have the pasta primavera, please, and my friend will have the grilled salmon. Making eye contact, speaking clearly, it helps a lot.
Reassures them you're prepared.
Exactly. Lets them move efficiently. And you mentioned dietary requirements in your notes earlier. Yeah. This is a really good time to bring those up or ask clarifying questions.
Okay.
So, yes, we are. I'll have the chicken Caesar salad, but could I get the dressing on the side, please? And just to mention, I have a nut allergy, so could you ensure it's prepared nut-free?
Right. Proactive communication.
Invaluable. For you, for the server, for the kitchen. It prevents problems later.
Definitely. Okay, but we've all been there. It's a slightly awkward moment. Server asks, ready to order? And you're still torn between two dishes, or maybe your friend just dashed off to the restroom.
Happens all the time.
How do you politely say you need more time without making the server feel like they have to hover or that you're delaying things?
Politeness and clarity are absolutely key here. If they ask, are you ready to order? And you're not quite there, a simple, not quite yet, thank you, is the start. Then add, could you give us a few more minutes, please?
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Or if someone's missing, oh, we're just waiting for Sarah to get back. Or maybe we're still deciding on one last thing, but we're almost there.
So acknowledge the question, but state the need clearly.
Exactly. The thank you shows respect for their time and acknowledge their question. Then you clearly state your need for a bit more time. It's fascinating how just a simple, polite deferral keeps the interaction positive. You're not just ignoring them.
Right. Yeah.
You could even offer something small, like, could we just get some water for now, please? Or actually, we're ready to order drinks, but we need another minute for the food.
That's a great tip. Buys you time, but lets them do something.
Precisely. Keeps the momentum going in a small way.
Brilliant. Okay, now let's flip that. You're ready? Menus are closed, maybe pushed to the side. You've been chatting a bit, clearly done deciding. You're trying to catch the server's eye, but they haven't come back yet. Can you actually use the phrase, we're ready to order, to get their attention? Or is that too abrupt?
It's generally less common for customers to just call out, we are ready to order, without being prompted first. It can feel a little abrupt in some contexts.
Yay.
But customers absolutely signal their readiness non-verbally. And this is maybe another aha moment. So much of this is unspoken communication.
Body language.
Totally. Think about it. Closing your menus firmly, maybe stacking them neatly on the edge of the table,
Yeah, I do that.
making direct eye contact with your server as they scan the room, even just a subtle, expectant nod when they happen to glance your way. These are all pretty unmistakable signals.
Okay, so you're sending cues.
Exactly. In some very casual places, a slight raise of the hand might be okay, but usually that sustained eye contact is the most universal and polite cue. Once a good server picks up on those visual signals, they'll quickly head over, and then they'll use their phrase, "Are you ready to order?"
So it respects the usual flow, but you prompt it silently?
Precisely. You're sending that silent message. Menu stage complete. Waiting for your cue.
That's a great point about the power of those nonverbal cues. Okay, so you've successfully placed your order. Food is hopefully on its way. But the dining experience often involves other little decisions, group agreements, main section 3, decisions agreeing on preferences. Which brings us nicely to our third phrase, fine with me. Now, what does this really mean? Because fine with me, it sounds so unassuming, almost like a throwaway line. But I get the feeling it's actually incredibly versatile. What's the hidden power in this simple phrase?
You're absolutely right to sense that. Fine with me is incredibly powerful, really, precisely because it packs so much into just 3 words. It signals flexibility, agreeableness, and crucially, a lack of objection.
Okay, lack of objection, that's key.
Yes, it says, this suggestion or plan is perfectly acceptable to me. It doesn't cause me any problem or discomfort. It's not necessarily bursting with enthusiasm, not, wow, great idea.
Right.
But it's definitely not resistant either. It's often used when you genuinely don't have a strong preference one way or the other, and you're quite happy to just go along with the group's decision, or maybe a suggestion from the staff.
Okay.
If we connect that to the bigger picture, the social dynamics, it really helps create group harmony. It keeps the conversation flowing smoothly, avoids unnecessary debates or little points of friction.
The language of easy agreement.
Exactly. It's the language of amiable consent, polite cooperation. And in many English-speaking cultures, showing that you value the group's ease over your own minor preferences is often seen as good etiquette. Fine with me is perfect for that.
That's a great way to put it. Agreeable without being fake. Okay, let's try a scenario. The host leads you to a table. Maybe it wasn't the exact spot you secretly hoped for, but honestly, it's perfectly adequate, maybe even good. How do you respond to confirm you accept it?
Okay, so the host might gesture and ask, is this table by the window fine with you? Or perhaps, how about this booth over here? Your most straightforward, polite response is simply, yes, that's fine with me, thank you. You can, if you want, add a little emphasis. Oh, yes, that's perfectly fine with me, thank you. Or, absolutely fine, thanks.
But just fine with me is enough.
Absolutely. On its own, it's perfectly polite and sufficient. The key thing here is its role in acknowledging and accepting their offer without needing to over-explain or pretend excitement you don't feel. It just smooths the process, shows you're easygoing, and appreciate their effort. It's quite calm, quite collected.
I like that. Calm and collected acceptance. Okay, different situation. You're out with friends, someone suggests, hey, how about we share the calamari to start? How do you chime in if you're happy with that, but maybe don't feel passionately about calamari?
Right, a group food decision.
Yeah.
Especially among friends. In a casual setting, it's super natural to just respond, yeah, that's fine with me. Or,
Yeah.
Sure, sounds fine with me. It works really well for those group choices where you're basically saying, yep, I'm on board with that. As we said, maybe less gung-ho than great idea. But it clearly shows your acceptance, your willingness to go with the flow. You're not holding up the decision.
Right.
Now, this naturally leads to the question you might be thinking, when would you not use fine with me?
Exactly. When is it the wrong phrase?
Well, if you have a strong objection, like you really dislike calamari, or worse, you're allergic to it, or if you have a very clear, strong preference for something else, then fine with me would be misleading, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't be true.
Right. In those cases, you need to be more direct, but still polite. Actually, I'm allergic to seafood, so calamari's out for me. But how about the bruschetta? Or, I'm not a huge calamari fan. Could we maybe do the spring rolls instead? It's knowing when to be flexible versus when you need to state a real preference or limitation.
That's a really crucial distinction. Knowing when flexibility is appropriate versus when you need to assert something specific. Okay, one more scenario for fine with me. The waiter comes over, maybe apologetically, and says, "So sorry, the chef says the steak will be about 5 more minutes. Is that all right?" Or maybe a friend texts, "Can we push our reservation back 15 minutes?" How do you show you're okay with that change?
This is where fine with me really excels at showing flexibility and patience, which, let's be honest, are always appreciated in these kinds of interactions.
Naturally.
So if the waiter gives you that news about the steak, you can confidently reply, "Oh, that's fine with me, no problem at all." Or maybe, "Okay, 5 more minutes is fine with me, thanks for letting us know."
Okay.
And with the friend texting about the reservation time change, "Yeah, 7:15 is fine with me, see you then." It's often paired naturally with things like "no problem, no worries," or "that works fine."
Reinforces the easygoing vibe.
Exactly. It helps manage expectations smoothly, shows you're adaptable, and crucially, it avoids any hint that you're annoyed, impatient, or difficult. It just keeps the atmosphere positive and relaxed.
Yeah.
You're basically signaling, "I understand, things happen, and I can adjust."
That makes so much sense. Okay, so we've navigated getting the table, ordering the food, handling little agreements and adjustments smoothly. All that's left is the grand finale, paying the bill. Sometimes the trickiest part. Main section 4, the grand finale, settling the bill. Which brings us to phrase number 4, split the check. Okay, let's really unpack this one, because this phrase, it can save so much potential awkwardness, right? But how do you actually use it correctly? Is it always simple, or are there like different ways to ask depending on how you want to split it?
Split the check, or you'll also commonly hear split the bill, especially in the UK, Australia, places like that. Yes, it's a critical phrase, and it's a very, very common and widely accepted thing in most English-speaking cultures,
Yeah.
especially in casual or mid-range restaurants.
Right.
It directly tackles that issue of fairness among the diners. And if you think about the bigger picture, culturally, it often reflects this tendency, especially maybe in North America, but elsewhere too, towards individual responsibility for costs in social settings.
Ah, okay. Not always one person hosting.
Exactly. There isn't always that default assumption that one person pays for everyone or that there's a designated host. Often, the underlying assumption is that everyone pays their own way. So this phrase, split the check, ensures transparency and avoids that awkwardness or feeling of unfairness later. It's just a very pragmatic way to handle shared costs.
Makes sense. Pragmatic. Okay, let's imagine the most common scenario first. You're out with a few friends. Everyone ordered roughly similar things price-wise, or maybe you just want to keep the payment super simple. How do you ask the server to handle that?
Okay, so meal's finished. Maybe the plates are cleared. The server might ask if you want coffee or dessert, or if you're ready for the check. That's usually your cue.
Yeah.
At that point, you can just simply say, "Could we split the check, please?" Now, just saying that often implies splitting the total amount evenly between the number of people paying.
Ah, okay. Evenly is the default assumption.
Often, yes. But the server will usually clarify to be sure. They might ask, "How many ways would you like to split it?" Or split into how many checks.
Okay.
So if there are 4 of you wanting to pay evenly, you'd clarify, "Could we split the check 4 ways, please?" Straightforward. Very common. Now, you also asked about payment methods.
Yeah, what if some have cash, some have cards?
Servers deal with this constantly. They're usually very adept at handling mixed payments. Just tell them clearly what you need. Could we split it 3 ways? 2 will be paying by card and 1 person has cash. They usually have the portable machines or figure it out easily.
Okay, that's reassuring. They're used to it. But what if it's not straightforward? Like, one person had 3 cocktails, appetizers, and the lobster, and someone else just had a side salad and water.
Right. The uneven order situation.
Splitting evenly there would feel really unfair. How do you ask for everyone to pay just for what they actually had?
This is where the phrasing needs to be a bit more specific to avoid any confusion. Instead of just split the check, you'd probably want to say something like, "We'd like to split the check, but could we each pay for our own items, please?"
Okay, pay for our own items?
Yes. Or perhaps even more directly, you could ask, "Could we get separate checks?" That phrase, separate checks, almost always implies itemized individual bills. Each person gets a bill listing exactly what they ordered.
Ah, that's the key distinction then. Split the check often means even split. Separate checks means itemized.
Exactly. It's a subtle but really important difference in phrasing that leads to a very different calculation of the bill. It ensures fairness based on actual consumption.
Gotcha.
Now, it's worth remembering, asking for itemized separate checks, especially if it's a large group or the restaurant is really slammed, it might take the server a bit longer to calculate and print everything.
Sure, more work for them.
Right. So it's always good to ask politely, maybe show a little patience. You could even add, we're in a rush, but could we possibly get separate checks for everyone, please?
Good tip. Manage expectations. Okay, so that difference between split and separate is super helpful. Now, are there times when even asking to split the check at all might be awkward, like certain situations or types of meals?
Yes, absolutely. Context is everything here. While splitting is super common in casual settings, you definitely need to read the room. For instance, very formal business dinners.
Probably not.
Almost certainly not. It's usually implied that whoever initiated the dinner, the host company or person, is covering the entire bill. Asking to split there could be a major social misstep.
Right.
Similarly, maybe on a first date, traditionally one person might offer to pay, though that's changing. Or even in very small, intimate groups, like just 2 or 3 close friends, one person might genuinely want to treat the others. If someone clearly offers, this is my treat, or I've got this, insisting on splitting might undermine their gesture and make things awkward.
Yeah.
You sort of have to gauge the intention.
So social awareness is key.
Definitely. Yeah. And also, consider cultural background. If you're dining with someone from a culture where hosting and paying for guests is a very strong norm, they might even be offended by the suggestion to split.
Ah, okay. Good point.
But all that said, for the vast majority of everyday situations, out with friends, family meals, in regular restaurants, asking to split the check or for separate checks is totally normal, expected, acceptable, and often honestly appreciated because it keeps things clear and fair for everyone.
Right. Avoids any weirdness later.
Exactly. It prevents those, slightly tense moments when the single bill arrives and everyone stares at it.
Yeah.
Knowing when and how to ask just smooths everything out. No arguments over who had the extra olive.
Huh. Exactly. Okay, so with the bill smoothly sorted, no olive arguments, the dining experience wraps up nicely, and hopefully you're leaving feeling pretty confident about how you handled it all.
Yeah.
Outro. So we've kind of journeyed through the whole meal out in English, haven't we? From walking in the door to paying the bill, all using just 4 really, really powerful phrases. Let's just quickly recap that quartet of confidence. A table for gets you seated clearly. Ready to order makes the ordering smooth. Fine with me handles agreements easily. And split the check sorts out the payment fairly.
Yeah.
Each one seems simple, but together they act like these crucial keys, unlocking smooth interactions right when you need them, turning potential stress points into, well, confident communication.
Exactly. And they really are more than just words, aren't they? They're genuine tools for efficient communication and for navigating the social side of dining in an English-speaking place. They empower you, the diner, to participate confidently, to make your presence known, get your needs understood, make your agreements clear. And that doesn't just make it better for you, it makes the whole thing more pleasant and efficient for everyone, your friends, the staff.
It helps the whole system work better.
Totally. They're like the unsung heroes of a smooth meal out.
I like that. Unsung heroes. And, there's a broader takeaway here, isn't there? Something that goes way beyond just the restaurant.
Absolutely.
The principles we've talked about, communicating clearly, making polite requests, expressing agreement gracefully, figuring out shared responsibilities, these things apply everywhere.
So many situations.
Right. Mastering these seemingly simple structures makes you a more effective communicator overall, more confident, more culturally aware, whether you're ordering food, planning something with friends, dealing with customer service. Anything, really. The restaurant is just one example.
And that really circles back to what we aim for here, helping you gain knowledge quickly, but also deeply, getting those aha moments.
Yeah.
And the big realization here, I think, is seeing how specific, maybe even basic seeming language can build much broader cultural fluency and social confidence. It's not just about vocabulary lists.
Wow.
It's about learning how to interact, how to manage expectations, how to read the subtle cues in a maybe unfamiliar setting. It's a much deeper kind of understanding, turning simple phrases into these powerful social tools.
Which leads us to that final thought for you, the listener. Here's where it gets really interesting to consider as you go about your week. How many other simple, everyday phrases, ones you probably use or hear all the time without even thinking about it, how many of those hold a similar kind of hidden power? Power to smoothly navigate tricky social situations, whether you're in a restaurant or a shop or just chatting with someone.
Think about those small but mighty linguistic building blocks.
Exactly. Those little phrases we often overlook because they seem so basic.
So maybe here's a question for you to ponder. What simple phrase have you heard or used recently, maybe even today, that, if you stop and think about it, might actually have a much deeper meaning or a more versatile use than you first realized.
Ooh, that's a good challenge.
Yeah. Start paying closer attention to those seemingly insignificant little phrases. They're absolutely everywhere, woven into all our daily interactions, and really understanding them, not just knowing them, is a huge key to unlocking more confident, more effective, and just more nuanced communication.
So listen closely to the language around you.
Exactly. There's a whole world of insight often hiding in plain sight.